Am I the asshole for calling my wife entitled and humiliating her in front of my mom? My wife, my mom, and I have a huge point of contention when it comes to visits. We live about a 7.5-hour plane ride away from my mom, and there hasn't been a single visit in 5 years. My wife and my mom never had a great relationship. It wasn't too terrible, but just very different people, and they get on each other's nerves, so my wife doesn't want her to stay in the house. It makes me sad, but my wife feels the home needs to be a sanctuary, and no one who upsets her should be allowed to stay in her sanctuary, and I chose to support that. Her ideal visit would be my mom staying at a hotel and having designated visiting times. My mom says that we can make our rules, but we can't seriously expect her to put her time and effort into traveling to stay at a hotel. I also understand that train of thought. My wife, however, thinks my mom owes it to our kids to make the effort. My mom says my wife is selfish for expecting her to sacrifice her time, effort, and peace of mind just to be treated like a burden. I have told my wife to leave it alone. I called my mom recently to talk, and my wife came over and began making digs about how the kids don't recognize my mom and were asking if I actually had parents. My mom said that my wife needed to leave the conversation or she was going to just hang up. My wife said it was so sad that my mom just won't come and see her grandkids because she feels entitled to stay in our house. I just snapped and told my wife that she needed to stop acting entitled to my mom's time, energy, the money it would take to visit, and she is the entitled one. My mom began laughing and my wife looked devastated. I quickly hung up and tried to talk it out with my wife, but she was furious and said that I broke a cardinal rule of marriage by calling her out in front of my mom. I do get that, but I've given her my opinion in private so many times.
Okay, he's not the asshole.
Really? Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think the wife is the asshole. Just from that move that she did with the phone conversation.
That was definitely asshole-ish.
Yeah.
The fact that the wife is like coming over to a private call between her husband and his mom, and she's like, "Oh, it's so sad that your grandkids don't even recognize you."
That's horrible. I would feel so sad if I was like the mom and my daughter-in-law was saying that to me.
Yeah.
But, okay, I don't know. I guess no one's really in the right here.
Yeah, it's so hard because if the wife was just like, I don't want her to stay here, and that's all she did, and she held her boundaries in private, maybe not the asshole, but the fact that she's on the phone, like, rubbing it in, that's definitely asshole-ish, and the husband just had enough. I mean, it sucks that he snapped at her in front of others, and then the mom laughed, like...
Yeah, that's embarrassing, too, and, like, upsetting.
Yeah, and then it probably feels like to the wife that OP and his mom are ganging up on her, and nobody's supporting her emotions, which is not a good feeling either. I don't think the husband is an asshole, but I think what he did was still a mistake.
Yeah.
But I think he was reacting to somebody being an asshole, and it's really hard for people to keep their composure every time someone's like being rude to them.
Yeah.
Like, I think his response was not a good one, but I can see why he reacted that way. I wonder, though, if OP actually feels that way, though, or if that's just what he said in the heat of the moment.
It sounds like it was just the heat of the moment type of thing, because like the fact that the wife was using the word entitled and then he snapped back and said like, no, you're the entitled one. Like, it was just like maybe at the front of his mind, like that word, like he probably doesn't actually feel that way. I don't know, but that's what I would assume.
Yeah.
It's like when someone insults you and you've never actually had that thought about them, but it's like, no, you're that way. But it's like, I've never thought that to myself before ever. But just like right now, I have to like say something.
Yeah, he's just like throwing it back at her.
Yes.
He's like, no, you are.
Yeah, exactly. Like a child. But
yeah. I don't think he's an asshole.
No, I don't think so either.
Overall vote was not the asshole.
Okay. Wait, I said no at the beginning, right?
I think so.
Okay. I don't remember.
The top comment is, not the asshole. I wouldn't come either. 7-hour plane ride to be told these are the times you can come while you're here, and then expect her to go back to her hotel and wait until you're ready for her to come back. Your wife is an instigator and a bully. Yeah, I think another thing is like, yeah, you might not love your mother-in-law more than you've ever loved someone, you know, maybe she's not your favorite person, but if you really care about your kids, which that was your argument when you were on the phone with her, like, oh, your grandkids don't recognize you. Mm-hmm. If your kids were actually what you cared most about and not just proving a point to your mother-in-law, you'd probably make their experience your priority. So making the trip for your mother-in-law harder isn't going to give your kids the best experience, because that's going to just decrease the chances that she actually comes. If you really wanted your kids to experience this time with their grandmother, you'd likely do everything in your power to get her to come, because it's already not easy flying 7 hours. So I just don't think that she really cares if her kids have time with their grandmother.
Yeah, and even if she does come, like, it sounds like there would be a lot of tension.
Yeah.
Too, which kids pick up on that stuff. So it just wouldn't be a good experience for them, unfortunately.
If she really cared about the kids, she'd just suck it up for the 5 days that the mother-in-law is staying with her. And that's the only time of the year you see her. That's the only time of the year that you need to, sacrifice your peace for your kids' experience.
Your sanctuary.
Yeah. And I get that the holidays should be happy and peaceful for you too. But if that's your priority, that's fine. But sometimes you need to put your kids' experience before yourself. And it's just like, what's more important to you? Your kids spending time with their grandmother or your peace for these 5 days? And if you choose your peace, that's fine. But then you can't say to your mother-in-law, your grandkids don't even know what you look like.
Yeah, that's bully behavior.
Yeah, and that's hypocritical. Mm-hmm. Wife's the asshole, OP is not. Done.
So no.
Oh my God, a tie.
Oh God.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, this is so fun.